Well, hello, everybody. Trucker Todd here. And after a very long absence, I'm finally back with y'all again. We've got a lot of stuff to get to today. I know a lot of people, I even saw on other YouTube channels, was wondering what this video was going to be about. As you can see, I'm at home. This isn't actually my home, but yes, I'm in Lubbock at home right now. And I really did give up and come home, but not in the way you might think. And so we're going to get into all that today and answer your questions and go from there. But let's start with something, believe it or not, even with my extended amount of time off, we've still got 4 channel members. And I want to refresh it and make sure that's still accurate. And we'll give them their introduction, and then we'll jump right into it. So we're starting with the oldest channel member, Robbie Ross. Then we got Casey, also known as Keith. We got Ramon, and we've got Adam. Thank y'all for being longtime channel members. Appreciate each and every one of you. And it's been kind of a running joke, but we are eventually going to have some perks and stuff over there. So I do appreciate y'all, and hopefully I can find some time to make some more videos. So some of you know, some of you don't. I've been really, really sick lately, and I'm recovering from that. But let me kind of backtrack a little bit and tell you what happened that led to the title of this video. On Tuesday, I guess, no, it would have been Wednesday morning of last week, I delivered in Dalhart, Texas. I got another load early that morning in Dalhart, Texas. I spent the night at the airport in Dalhart, Texas, which I'll bet a lot of you didn't even know there was an airport in Dalhart, Texas. I, for one, did not either. Anyway, I spent the night at the airport in Dalhart, Texas, delivered early that Monday or that Wednesday morning. And then I went to Amarillo, which is about an hour away, and was supposed to be picking up a load, just a quick one running down to Roswell. And then I was trying to stay moving. There was supposed to be a huge storm coming through, and I was just trying to get done what I could get done before the storm hit. I wanted to stay out of DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and most of the rest of the country from the weather forecast looked pretty bad. So that load that I picked up in Amarillo that was going to Roswell turned out to be one of the worst loads I've done in recent memory. The broker, I don't know if they lied or if they misled or what, but it ended up with him apologizing to me and saying, "I'm sorry," and offering to let me off of it. He's like, "I realize this is nothing like what we agreed to, and I'll get you off of it if you don't want to do it." I said, "No, I'm already here. I might as well do it." So this load was supposed to be in a curtain side trailer, which is basically a flatbed that they put walls and a roof on. And the broker had told me it was a long object that they loaded with wheels, and then they removed the wheels, and when you got it to the delivery point, they put wheels back under it and pulled it out. So I ended up having to strap this thing in, and that in and of itself is not a big deal, but this particular object, because of what it was and how it was very, very difficult to strap. It had screens on it, and nothing could touch the screens. They said it took a year to build these devices, and there was only 5 pallets on the trailer. They claimed that it was a high-value load. The broker claimed it was not a high-value load, and so I really don't know the value of the product. I was told it was basically the brains that run a motor, an electric motor, but beyond that, I really couldn't tell you what it was or what it did. Long story short, I ended up getting it to Roswell and getting it unloaded without any damages. I was really concerned that I would not be able to deliver it without damages, but I just strapped it as best as I could and did as best as I could and kind of hoped for the best. And it drove easy and it worked out okay. But By the time I got down there, because the same guy that loaded me was the same guy that was going to unload me, I beat him down there by about 45 minutes. He had to stop and buy a pallet jack. He didn't have a pallet jack that he needed out there on the job site. The place I went to was supposed to be in the city limits of Roswell. It was actually GPS coordinates that were about 24 miles outside of Roswell, in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of a cow pasture. They had just made a pad out there, and they had a couple of buildings there, and that's where I had to take it to. And so I got there. By the time they got me unloaded, it was dark, it was cold, and so I drove back to Roswell to the truck stop, and figured I'd get up the next morning and look for a load and try to get out of there before the weather got in. Well, I went to bed. I woke up about 3 in the morning to go to the bathroom, and there was snow everywhere. It was pretty heavy. And so I said, well, nothing I can do now. I'm already here. I'll go back to bed. I woke up again about probably 9 in the morning and got on the CB. And that's another rant we'll get to in a minute. But I got some guys that said, hey, they just shut down 285 going north, and they're supposed to be shutting down some more roads here pretty quick. From there to Lubbock is about a 3-hour drive in normal weather conditions. And so I started asking. I said, because I'd called a couple of warehouses, they were getting ready to close. They're like, screw it, we're going home. The weather's bad, and these highways are starting to close. There's not really interstates out there. It's a lot of 2-lane roads and stuff. And so, as you guys all know, the interstates and stuff get treated and maintained before what they call the secondary roads do. So I knew that if I didn't get out of that area pretty soon, I was probably going to be stuck there for a couple of days if I didn't leave real soon. So between Roswell and Lubbock, there's one pretty good hill, and I knew that would be my obstacle. And if I could get over that empty, that I was pretty much home free. Now, I was empty, so those of you that are truck drivers realize that when you're empty, the van trailers act like a sail. They can slip on you, so you got to be real careful. And so I made the decision. I was already, I hadn't told that part of the story. I woke up and I was getting really, really sick. I could feel the congestion, the cold. I had taken some NyQuil the night before to help me sleep, and it wasn't working. I was progressively getting worse. And so with all that going on, I didn't want to be stuck at an Allsup's truck stop or a Yes Way or whatever you want to call it in Roswell, New Mexico for a couple of days. And so I made the decision to just give up and go home. And so that's the title of this video. I did not quit SRO Logistics. I didn't, nothing like that, but I decided to give up looking for a load and give up being stuck in that snowstorm and just go home and recoup at home. And the storm ended up not being as bad. Well, pretty much anywhere is what they expected. They expected DFW to get pounded, and it did get some, but it was not near to the degree that they thought it was. They expected Roswell to get pounded. It didn't get pounded near to the degree that they thought it was. And so today's been the first day that I really felt like, hey, I could probably come on here and do a video. You can hear my voice and sniffles. I'm still not 100%. And so that's kind of what's going on here. I just realized I didn't bring my Kleenex back here. And so, but yeah, that's what's going on. I've been deathly ill. I don't remember being this sick in a long time. And so I told Scott, I said, hey, I called Scott, I think on Thursday, and told Scott that, hang on just a second, that I was going to take a couple of days off, that I was sick as I could be. And so, hang on just a second, y'all. But anyway, that's what's going on here. That brings me to my second rant. Oh, thank you. about CBs. I started counting when I left Roswell how many trucks I encountered, and I tried to holler at every one of them on the CB. And I bet less than 5% of the trucks that I tried to engage had a CB in their truck. And I get it, not wanting to have it on all the time. You're getting phone calls, you're listening to the radio. But in bad weather situations, you should have a CB in your truck and it should be on. If nothing else, that hill I was talking about between Roswell and Lubbock, what if there had been an accident on the other side of that hill or somebody had spun out? Wouldn't you like to know that before you got to that hill? And so to me, and I'm not trying to judge anybody or talk down to anybody, but if you can't afford a Bluetooth headset and you can't afford a CB radio, then you're probably not working at a very good trucking company. And I would think, I get it if you're brand new, but I would think within the first couple of weeks of being out of training, you should be able to afford a CB radio for your truck. I mean, they sell them, you can get them as cheap as like $45 or $50 at Walmart. And so I was amazed at how very few people had a CB in their vehicle. And it would just, it would be a lot safer out here if we all had one. But anyway, I've rambled now for about 12 minutes. Let's go up here and get some of these comments knocked out. Wasn't sure how many people would be here. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my normal nights for live videos. And I thought, well, what the heck? Let's do one tonight. Channel member Robbie Ross. Hello, friends. Happy 2025. Hello, sir. Yeah, 2024 was a mess. So I was glad for 2025 to get here. As you guys know, my dad passed away in 2024. I had to say goodbye to several friends in 2024. Some of them are fellow YouTubers, just people that I decided that they were not good to be in my life, and we needed to go our separate ways. But yeah, I'm hoping 2025 is a lot better than 2024. As far as rates go, I think they're improving. I'm generally an optimistic person anyway, but to me, it seems like things are getting better. Roger Berry, Happy New Year. Hope all is well and safe. Thank you, sir. Hope you're doing well also. No Fear says, hey, everyone. Hello, No Fear. And Ted Van Buskirk. Hello, sir. I will be here. I'm glad to have you with me tonight, my friend. And Adam says, I'm here from the house. Hope you're feeling a little bit better. I think I am. As y'all can see, I'm still congested. I'm still getting my voice back. But I'm going to try to book a load in the morning and leave out tomorrow if I can. And by the way, I didn't even mention it. It looks like Robbie Ross was the first one in here tonight. Channel member Robbie Ross, so glad he could make it in early. He got here real early, about 40 minutes before we started. Kevin says, what time does the fun begin? We started at 6 o'clock tonight. Who knows when the fun will begin? I think it starts for different people at different times. Kevin says, if anybody knows where I can get a good quality truck and they will finance it with a bankruptcy, then please post. So there's a lot of companies that'll do bad credit. Nobody will do a bankruptcy until it's been discharged. And that's because you've got to have the permission of the court until that bankruptcy is discharged. The reason I know this, I'm not a lawyer. I feel like I have to say that in every video. I'm also not a doctor. But from my car sales days, that was one of the requirements of the financial people, was that your bankruptcy was discharged. It's because you're not supposed to incur any new debt while your bankruptcy is active. So if your bankruptcy has been discharged, email me at todd@truckertodd.net. Tell me what kind of down payment you got, and I'll point you in the direction of some places that'll that'll finance you a truck. Racing Ray says, hey, Double T. Hello, Racing Ray. Glad y'all are doing better tonight. He also says, hope you're feeling better. I'm trying. It's just one day at a time. Today is 1,000 times better than yesterday. We went yesterday and got us a humidifier with some of that Vicks vapor stuff that goes in it, and that seemed to help a lot. Racing Ray says, Eagles looking good, hoping Packers can make a game of it, though. I have not got to watch any football lately. Honestly, since the Cowboys performed as poorly as they did, I just kind of took a break from it. But I know as the playoffs progress that I'll get back in and watch. I love football no matter who's playing. I'm a big Cowboys fan, but even though they're out, I can still enjoy a game. Skyline the Trucker says, is this clickbait? I guess it could be. It depends on how you look at it. I really did give up and go home. I just, we've got so many negative people that they expect me to fail at SRO or whatever. So anytime I put a video out, they think, okay, this is the video where Todd says him and Scott got into it and he's not at SRO no more. And that's not the case. I just, I gave up trying to find a load and being stuck in that snowstorm and went home. And I'm kind of glad I did. I don't think I'd have made it out there on the road. As far as, well, I don't know what I was saying. It'll come back to me here in a minute. Roger Berry says the Bills looked really good today. And Robbie Ross, channel member, says, football season's over for me. I put it on a temporary hiatus is, I guess, the best way to say it. I just didn't want to watch today, but I'm sure I'll watch when I have time, or at least listen to it on satellite radio while I'm driving or something like that. As I said, the goal is to get out tomorrow, try to get another load, and because I really didn't need this time off. I need to be working right now. Blue Shadows says, what's going on, brothers of the highway? Not much, my friend. Just recovering from this sickness. Looks like some of you got into some pretty good snow around the country. I did over in New Mexico, but and a little bit up in Dalhart. But when they started shutting the interstates around Roswell, and I saw how sick I was and everything, I just decided to take it to the house. And Racing Ray says, not me, Robbie. Chiefs all the way for a 3-peat. Yeah, I think there's a pretty good shot of that. Channel member Robbie Ross. Good luck, Ray. Let's see what we got here. I'm using my spotlight tonight, so makes it where I'm lit up a little better, but it makes it hard to read some of the comments. That's why I'm having to go like that sometimes. Racing Ray 28. Yes, sir, Skyline. Definitely clickbait. No, the actual verbiage there, I gave up and went home. I did give up and go home. I didn't say I quit SRO and went home. By the way, if any of y'all are interested in more information about where I work, it's in the little ticker at the bottom of the screen, but it's safety at srologistics.com. Safety at srologistics.com. And also, if you click on where it says more under the title of the video, it'll drop down what they call a description. I've got a lot of other great information there about the website, how you can get the fuel card I recommend. All of that's there. You can message me from the website, so go check those things out. While you're fishing around, you might as well like and subscribe and share this video out to your friends and family on social media, text, however you do it. Just let people know we're here and that more videos are soon to follow. Gary Cook says, hello, stranger. Hello, my friend. Long time no see. Hopefully I'll get my voice back well enough that that I can be a little more prominent on here than what I've been. The channel has really taken a hit from me being on here regularly. I'm net adding about a third of what I was as far as new subscribers, and views are down and everything. But it's just because I'm not pumping out new content. I've got to get some new videos out. And I've got my secret medicine here, my Coke Zero. Gary Cook says, I'm listening from Ocala, Florida tonight, enjoying some comfortable conditions. Yeah, I'm actually looking at a couple of loads that are running out that way. So I may be in Ocala, Florida in a few days. You never know. Twisted D says, hello, how are you doing? I'm hanging in there, my friend. If you'd asked me 2 days ago, you'd have got a different answer. So let me tell y'all this. My CPAP machine gives me a grade, just like when you're in school, from 0 to 100 about how you sleep every night. Usually, and it measures everything, how many times you have apnea events, how many times you take your mask off during the night and go to the bathroom, just all kinds of stuff. And it creates a score. Usually I'm between 95 and 100. So that'd be an A+ rating. Usually it says, Todd, you're excellent. I had a couple of nights this week where I was in the 30s and 40s. So that's an F for sleeping. I had one night where I couldn't wear the machine at all. And so my numbers went way down on my sleep. I was not sleeping well. I was not eating well. I wasn't doing anything well. And so I really needed that time to recuperate. Boy, that's the other thing. Whatever we've got, you get extremely hot and extremely cold. Like when I came back here, I was cold at first, but now I'm like sweating. And so I don't know what's going on. I usually have the fan on in here, and for some reason the fan's not on. So if I get up in a minute, you'll have to excuse me while I go turn the fan on. Channel member Robbie Ross, thank you. Channel member Robbie Ross says, Kleenex, just use your sleeve. Oh, yeah, that'd be attractive. Thank you. All right, let's see what we got here. Steve Given. Hey, Todd, sorry I was late getting here. What's up, man? Oh, not much, man. I'm just complaining about getting old, I think. It's a big jump from 50 to 51 for sure. Hey, Jacob Martinez. Hello, Todd, saying hi from Tahoka. It's good to see you, my friend. So I know Jacob from my hometown, and occasionally we'll get some hometown people in here. It's good to have you here tonight, my friend. Levi Weatherly, did you quit trucking again? No, and I haven't. I'm not sure the again part. In March of 2024, I had a stroke, and I was required by DOT to stop driving for 6 months. But I didn't quit truck driving then. I was medically required to stop. I haven't quit truck driving now. I did quit on Wednesday and come home because I was sick, but I wouldn't call that quitting. So not sure about that. Red Raider Reloading. Hello, all. Hello, sir. Channel member Robbie Ross. I did sit out the winter storm in Dallas in the hotel as my truck was getting worked on a Home Depot load parked in Marion, Illinois. Yeah, you made some pretty good time if you got all the way up there. It wasn't that long ago when I talked to you and you were still in the Dallas area. Chris Morris says hello. Hey, Chris, glad you can make it in. I got to get up to that area and hang out with Chris again. He's a pretty cool guy. Gary Cook, I'm still doing USA Power Only, doing very well with it. I'm still leased to Advanced Trucking. Yeah, for if you live east of I-35, that's not a bad deal. When you live west of I-35 like I do, it's not super. Matter of fact, they weren't real excited about talking to me. This was been a few years ago when I talked to them, but it was just because of where I lived. But yeah, from what I hear, what you're doing is a pretty good deal. I think I've got a good deal too. And I heard another YouTuber today, and he made a real good point. And at some point, I probably need to make a video and elaborate on it a little more. But he was talking about in trucking, and especially on YouTube, how we spend so much of our time comparing ourselves to other truck drivers, other YouTubers. And a YouTuber will come on and they'll be, I mean, this particular YouTuber, he says, I make $13.50 a week. He says, I realize that most of you that are watching my video make more money than I do. And that's okay. He's like, I like where I work. I like what I do. And I'm able to live on this income. And so I think that oftentimes we're so busy putting other people down. Oh, I can't believe they do this, or I can't believe they do that. Instead of just being happy for them if they're happy doing what they're doing. For me, I love what I'm doing. Could I make more money? Have I made more money at other places? Absolutely. But I've got that freedom. I just like being able to come home when I was sick. Didn't have to get permission. Didn't have to ask anybody. And to me, that's worth a lot. And some of you, it's all about the dollar, and that's the only thing that matters. You don't care how the company treats you. You don't care what you do or don't do. It's just that bottom dollar. And so in that case, that's fine for you. But I've never understood why people feel like they need to tear other people down to feel good about what they're doing. That's why I quit doing income videos. Now I'm going to start doing some videos, and I'll go back and tell you all the places I've ran, because I think there's some information there. People like to know the lanes I run and how I do what I do. And so I'm going to do some videos along that lines, but I quit doing income videos when I was at Swift, because half of you would come on and you'd go, oh, well, Todd, you're getting ripped off. I make more than you do, and I only work 2 days a week. And then half of you'd come on here and go, well, you shouldn't be bragging, Todd. You should be helping others. You're making too much. So there was no point to it. And my numbers are never going to be your numbers. Now, I may answer general questions like what I grossed or something like that. But for me to give you a breakdown of what my take home is and stuff, that it doesn't benefit you or me in any way. And so I'm probably not going to do that anymore. And if I do, it'll be on an individual basis when I feel like it'll help somebody, and not just out here on YouTube where it can be picked apart. Mark Ely says, what's up, everyone? Hey, Mark, thank you for being here. Steve Given, glad you're still with SRO. Jason Pope quit another job just last week. No wonder he just keeps chasing dreams and gets nowhere. Yeah, from what I understand, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be revealing this or not, everybody's trying to figure out where he went to work. And I would just about guarantee you he is at a company called EOS. EOS. We'll see if I'm right, and I may be right. From what I understand, they're in a hotel right now for orientation. They may quit and go to another company during orientation, but I believe right now that they are at orientation for EOS in Arkansas, and time will tell. Where do I get that information? Why do I feel that way? Well, I've had a few people tell me that, but also Tim had a picture that he took, and if you look in the top left corner of that picture, you can see part of the EOS logo. And they had mentioned it was an Arkansas company. They could be lying about that to throw people off, but I do believe they are at EOS, and I guess they'll have a reveal pretty quick. I mean, folks, we know it that they've got to have that referral money and for this deal to work for them. And so they're going to reveal where they're at pretty soon. And I'll bet we're going to find out it's EOS. And I know absolutely nothing about EOS. They tried to throw us off and say it was Transco. I don't believe it's Transco. Kevin Patterson, are you a company driver or do you have a truck payment? So I bought my own truck from another YouTuber and leased on to Scott. I negotiate my own rates. I pick my own loads off the load boards. I have about 11 or 12 load boards that I regularly use. And I haven't said the price of the truck or what my weekly payments are. But and actually, I've got a really good deal set up that I pay it weekly into a fund. And then the YouTuber that I'm buying the truck from, he gets paid monthly. Gary Cook, my thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by the wildfires in California. That is a very bad situation. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that today, and they're having all kinds of logistical issues out there. Things like, and I didn't even know this was possible, fire hydrants that are dry and things like that. So just typical, and I don't want to get too political on here tonight, typical blue state problems where they weren't proactive when they needed to be, and now they're having to be reactive. But either way, it's terrible for the people out there that are going through this. There's already been some lives lost, tons and tons of property loss, and it's all maybe not completely preventable, but it could have happened at a much smaller scale. I saw a video the other day that he said the title of his video is "The Problem with California is There's Too Many Californians." And I thought, wow, what a great title for a video. And he had some real insightful things to say in his video, but I would agree with that completely, that the problem with California is there's too many Californians there. And they've started migrating to Texas and Florida. And you would think that when they move, they would leave their ideas in California. They'd go, hey, we don't like California anymore. We like Texas. We're going to go in there and assimilate into Texas. Well, they don't do that. They come to Texas and they bring their bad ideas with them. And if we don't watch it, Texas will be California next. Eddie Moon, hey, Trucker Todd, good to see you again. Yes, sir, it's good to be back. And who have we got here? Gary Cook says, J.B. Hunt. And then he says, just kidding. And yeah, I don't think J.B. Hunt would take those two guys. And I heard another YouTuber counted up the other day, and Jason's had like 12 jobs in the last 2 years, 12 or 13 jobs. And that's going to disqualify him from a lot of companies to the point that even if he had good reasons to leave every one of them, even if everything was on his side. And so I think that we're probably not too far away from seeing them go to some of these Russian companies that most of us would try to avoid. The one thing they do got going for them is they're running team, and companies are willing to put up with more because they need teams so bad. And Gary Cook says Mel Gibson lost his home. Yeah, I saw that Steve Guttenberg, from those of you that are old enough to remember movies from the 80s, and also Dennis Quaid, but Steve Guttenberg was out there and he was like on the street helping people. And I believe Dennis Quaid was too. So it's nice to see some celebrities coming down and helping out. But I mean, this fire's in their backyard, so you would kind of expect it. But it's good that we need all the help we can get down there and the awareness. And he was the interview I saw, Steve Guttenberg was encouraging people to get out and help others, and hopefully some people will do that. The reason I ask, this is Kevin again. The reason I asked, Pathway approved me for financing on a new 2025 680, but the payments are $5,400 a month. I live on my truck, so it may work. And then he says, it is a 45-month payoff, not 60. Okay, let me do a little bit of math here real quick. Let's talk about this. So we're saying $5,400 a month in 45 months. How much are you putting down on that truck too? Well, let's figure it with no money down. So that truck is $243,000. Automatically, I don't like this deal for a few reasons. For one, a lot of people assume when they get a brand new truck that they're not going to have any maintenance issues. And I know what you're going to tell me. You're going to tell me, well, I've got a factory warranty. And you do. But what that warranty doesn't cover is your downtime, the time you're going to be in a hotel waiting on parts. And sometimes you wait longer on parts on a brand new truck because the parts are still in the factory being used to make trucks. So, but let's say that everything went right. Let's say that you got your truck in the first year, you didn't have any problems. The problem is when that truck breaks, you've got that $5,400 a month coming out. And it's not that you can't make it if you live on the truck, if you run hard. It's just that truck becomes a chain around your neck for 45 months. And so I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just telling you that's a lot of dinero to come out. Let's do a little bit more math right quick. Let's say that you spend let's do round numbers because it makes it easier. So we're saying $5,400 a month for the truck. We're saying let's say $4,000 a month for diesel. Let's say your truck insurance is going to be more expensive than mine. I'm going to say $800 a month for insurance. So right there, you're at $10,200 a month. Which is about $2,600 a week, something like that. And you're going to have other expenses on top of that. And so I don't love this deal for a lot of reasons. I think there's better deals out there. I can tell you that, and I'm doing a used truck, of course, but my truck is significantly less than that. And, I had a guy that I used to talk to. I don't talk to him anymore. He had an SFI truck. And his payments were like $1,300 a week. And it was when I was in my other truck, I was doing like $500 a week then. And he's like, Todd, I don't see how you're making it right now. And I said, well, I'm making it because I've got an $800 a week head start on you. I've got a $3,200 a month head start on you. And it's really more than that because of 4.3 weeks in a month. So getting your overhead down just helps you out in the long run. Would having a nice new truck be nice? Yeah, it'd be great to have a new truck. But at $5,400 a month, you're really putting a chain around your neck. And if you're okay with that chain around your neck, then go for it. Just be aware of what you're setting yourself up for. Robbie Ross, channel member, it's crazy how these news cycles go. You had the New Orleans tragedy, and now Cali, the New Orleans incident seems like ages ago. Yeah, they always say bad things happen in 3, but in reality, bad things happen every day. And now that we have, 24-hour news cycles, we're just more aware of it. This stuff has always gone on. It's just, it's constantly in front of us. Every one of us carries a small phone in our hand that we're constantly being bombarded with what's going on in the world. So we're all just more informed than we've ever been. Gary Cook says, I think Trucker's coach should have kept his authority. I think he would have done fine. That's my opinion. I think there's a lot of, and we can all play armchair quarterback. I think there's things I should have done differently too. But in the case of Coach, he's got a lot of knowledge, but I think that he gets blinded by other ways of making money besides just driving the truck. And the truth is, you can recruit and do the things he did perfectly honestly and still make the money he wants to make. What Coach should do, in my opinion, now that he doesn't have his authority anymore, is buy a truck. He had one. I don't know why him and Stewart let that truck go, and lease it on somewhere and, run the spot market and recruit for that company or wherever he's at now, just to stay somewhere. And guys that hop jobs a lot, it hurts their credibility, because I'll give Coach as an example. The days leading up to Christmas, he was like, oh yeah, Hirschbach's great. They're getting a new pay package. I'm going to come back after Christmas and tell you all about it. And then his first video when he comes back is, we're not there no more. We're in a hotel for orientation for our new place. And so people start wondering, well, this last 6 months, all this stuff you told me about Hirschbach, is it true or not true? And if I couldn't believe you then, can I believe anything you say now? And, I personally think Hirschbach is a mediocre company. It's definitely not the worst company out there, but I wouldn't call it a no-brainer, and I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing in trucking and things like that. And so just having some credibility and being honest is what I think will get you further in the long run. And in Coach's situation, at this point, he's going to have to stay at a company probably 18 months to 2 years before anybody's going to take him seriously. Channel member Robbie Ross, $5,400 a month. Ouch! I pay $1,600. Yeah, now on that $5,400, the one thing that is good about it is if he doesn't like the company he's at, he can take his truck and go to another company. Whereas if you do a lease purchase, you're locked into that company in most cases. But there's no way I would do $5,400 a month. I'm not going to say my exact truck payment on here, but I would say that mine is more in line with what Robbie Ross is paying than $5,400 a month. Keith said it's 0 down, so that's good. But I would, I just thought, man, that payment kind of scares me a little, to be honest. Well, the total repayment, this is Steve again, is $243,000, but the truck is far less because there is a ton of interest to be paid on it. Yeah, I understand that, but still, that's money that's going out of your bank to their bank. So you're going to end up paying $243 for the truck unless something happens and you run into a large sum of money and you can pay your truck off early. But if you can't pay your truck off early, you're going to pay $243,000 for a truck that is probably 180, maybe 170. Exactly. Thor's touching on something that I'd said a minute ago, but I'd mentioned, a lot of people think they get a new truck and they go, oh, I won't have any maintenance because I've got a warranty. Even if you get around the maintenance and all you've got is oil changes and tires and stuff like that, the downtime's what's going to eat you alive. If you have one of those something on the DEF system, because that seems to be what goes out on all these new trucks, they're using all the parts at the factories building the new trucks. So a brand new truck, sometimes you might wait several weeks on a part, and that's what'll kill you if you've got that $5,400 payment coming. and you're waiting on parts while your truck's in the shop. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm kind of agreeing with what Thor's saying here about, you're going to have probably over $11,000, closer to $12,000 in just overhead. And I try to average between 20,000 and 25,000 a month in revenue, and so you subtract that out. That's not leaving you a lot. And then you got to take out your taxes and all your other stuff, and uh, it could be a stressful situation for you. I want you to think it through real carefully before you do it. Not saying don't do it, but I'm glad Thor brought that up. Thank you for that, Thor. Gary Cook says I would try to keep my truck payment under $2,500. Yeah, here's another thing you could do. If you've got some money, put some down payment down. See if you can get that interest down. You mentioned it's a lot of interest. See if you can put some money down, get the term a little longer, get those payments down. See what other options are down there. But yeah, I agree. The lower you can get that payment, the less overhead you got, and the more money you've got going into it, the better off you're going to be. Hey, we just got a new channel member. Let's go down and say hi to Michael. Thank you, sir, so much. I appreciate that. New channel member with us tonight. I want to go back to Thor for just a second. I've just started watching his videos. I didn't know a lot about him, but definitely enjoying his videos lately. Kevin says, per the contract, there are no payments if I break down, and it includes a maintenance savings. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So typically what they do in situations like that is they move those truck payments to the end of your note, so it extends your loan on your truck, which that benefits them too because they're charging you interest on that principal. Also, companies that charge a maintenance savings account, again, sounds like a great idea, but oftentimes they'll dictate maintenance, like where your truck can be worked on, types of parts that can be used, types of tires that can be used. So if it gets that far in the weeds, what I would recommend is email me a PDF of the contract, and I'll read it and tell you some things that I would look out for on it. And not just me, other YouTubers you trust, email them the contract and let them look at it with you. My email again is todd@truckertodd.net. Just go check it out, but read it carefully, because it doesn't matter what they tell you. It may say in the contract, yeah, we require you to use our maintenance facilities, but then they tell you, oh yeah, but we don't enforce that. We'll let you go anywhere. No, go by the contract, and you'll be better off. Ramon says, what's up? Not much, my friend. How are you doing tonight? Charles Spray says, I think Trucker Coach does all this for the drama on YouTube. We all know people that way. I know him. We've never met personally. We've talked on the phone a couple of times. We've texted a few times. And I think he's a decent guy, but I think he's too wrapped up on what other people think and what other people say, and instead of just focusing on taking care of himself and his family. But the way he's done things lately, somebody sent me a video. He had made a video where he's making it look like him and Tim were selling Marlboros now, and it was making fun of all the people that say he's out promoting stuff. He knows what that's going to do. That's going to trigger the other side. They're going to come after him. And at the end of the day, it doesn't accomplish what he wants to accomplish, or what I perceive that he wants to accomplish. So, yeah, I don't know about that stuff. I'm glad I'm not involved in that for sure. Kevin, I agree. I'm with Mercer now, and that payment includes the maintenance fund also. Yeah, now Mercer, I've talked to those guys, and we'd even talked about me making some videos for them, and may do it at some point. Not going to work there. I'm staying where I'm staying, but we had talked about me making some videos for them at one point, and they seemed like a pretty good outfit. But man, that 5,400 a month, that really benefits them if that's where you're getting it from, because they know you're going to have to keep those doors closed and go home rarely for that deal to work long term. And at the end of the 4 years, you're going to need some time off. You'll be exhausted. Jason is a W-2 of his LLC. He's been with his corporation for a long time, and on paper, he's a model employee because his LLC is the one it's the one bouncing, not him. Oh, hey, TC. TC Boggs is the one I was talking about that had the video that I saw earlier this week. The problem with California is there's too many Californians. I thought that was a great title and a great video. If y'all hadn't seen it, go check it out. Gary Cook says, go buy a used Prime truck. They are pretty decent trucks, plus Prime takes care of those trucks. Yeah, I agree. The problem is when you get them through Pedigree, which is their sales lot, they've been wanting like 40% down. Somebody told me recently they've gone down on their down payments. But, if you're looking at an $80,000 or $100,000 truck, you're going to need a pretty good chunk of change. Robbie Ross, channel member, new trucks can be more problems. Air leaks, loose this and loose that. If you've been in trucking, run your own numbers against previous settlements. See if the numbers make sense. The numbers don't lie. Yeah, that's great advice. And one thing I liked about Dart, and I just mentioned Dart because I know that's where Robbie Ross works. When they were there, and I don't know if they still do, they used to have software. And if you were a company driver and you said, hey, I'm thinking about leasing a truck, they could plug in your last 2 or 3 months worth of numbers and tell you if you'd make more money or less money running like you've been running. And if it turned out to be less money, they could tell you what you were doing wrong and what you would need to improve to be successful. So, for example, if they said your problem is you're not buying your fuel right, they could say, well, follow our fuel route and you'll do better, or you'll save this amount of money. Or if your problem was fuel economy, they could say, well, we notice your idle time's high, work on your idle time, and you should be fine, or slow your truck down a little, or you know what I mean? So it was a great way to jump into it back then. I don't know if they still have that software program or not, but that used to be a really good resource and what I would recommend to guys that were company over there and were thinking about getting a truck. The reason why truckers don't make it leasing is they're not conservative with their money. Yeah, I think that's probably true for everybody. We hear that something like 80% of credit cards are near maxed out. And I think we as a society, a lot of us live outside of our means and outside of what we can afford. I've certainly been guilty of it. When I was at Swift and was making the big money, if I had that to do over again, I would definitely spend that money in some different ways. But one thing we think when money starts rolling in, we think, okay, my life is going to be like, and same thing, it's a pendulum. When things are great, we think, all right, my life's going to be like this the rest of my life. I can live like this. And when it's bad, we think, oh, I got to be depressed. This is it. Things are never going to get better. The sky is falling. And we need to live somewhere in the middle. Your truck, I don't care what brand you get, how new or old it is going to break at some point. And the more prepared for that you can be, the better off you're going to be. And so I'm not saying don't live any and don't go have any fun, but I'm saying just keep it in moderation and be leery of strapping yourself with a $5,400 a month truck payment. I don't care. how good the guys dance on the video. I don't care how much the YouTubers tell you you're going to make. I don't care how many giveaways they do. Just run the numbers. And even these numbers that these recruiters give you, realize that those aren't very accurate. They're best case scenario. Well, if you got this fuel economy, if you got this many miles, and if your average fuel price was this amount, and your numbers are going to vary from that. And you have to realize that. A lot of times they'll put 2,800 or 3,000 miles a week. And that's very attainable when you're working, and when the freight's there. But when you start factoring in home time and 34-hour resets, you're better off to figure your miles at 2,000 or 2,200 and be pleasantly surprised when you make more than that than you are setting yourself up for 3,000 miles a week, and then you're averaging 2,500 and you're mad at the company because you're not making enough what you thought you were going to make. Understand that these recruiters, their job is to get you in the door. That's it. They don't know freight lanes and all that stuff. They're in the recruiting department. They're not in operations. They know what they hear in meetings, and their job is to get you in the door. And so, like Michelle, for example, at Swift, if you asked her a tough question, she'd answer it, but she wasn't going to volunteer that information. So knowing what questions to ask and things like that, that's another good channel for you guys. Lockout Men, and I know that's not proper grammar. Lockout Men calls a lot of companies, and he asks good questions on the phone of the recruiting department. And maybe watch one of his videos and write down some of the questions he asks. And when you call these recruiters, ask these questions and see how they respond. There's nothing wrong with the recruiter saying, hey, I don't know the answer to that. I'll get it for you. But the problem is when they sidestep the question or they start making stuff up because they don't want to answer the question. Kevin says, no, sir, the truck is from Pathway Finance, and that's a private financing company. I'm going to have to look into them, but I think most people in here agree with me. I'm not a big fan of the $5,400 a month truck payment. TC says, thanks for the shout out, Todd. Hope you and yours had a good holiday season. We did. It was, I ain't gonna lie, it was a little slimmer than most, but we had a good time. I was just here for a couple of days, 24th and 25th, and I went right back out. But yeah, we had a good time. We went over at my uncle's, had a nice dinner, and so yeah, that's. I hope y'all had a good one as well. I wanted to ask you, you're not still doing that same run you were doing when I met you, are you? Charles Bray says you can be a company driver for 2 years and be conservative with your money and buy a truck outright. Yeah, that's actually what I did. At Swift, I was doing a lease purchase, not a company, and I saved up enough money and I bought a truck for cash from one of my viewers, and I ran that truck a few weeks, and then it went to its demise, and then I ended up buying one from a dealership. And so, but yeah, that's very true. It don't even take 2 years, but you've got to set a goal, and how are you going to get there? If your goal is I'm going to buy a $25,000 truck or a $24,000 truck in 12 months, then each month $2,000 a month needs to be going into a savings account somewhere. You can't wait till month 11 and go, oh crap, next month I got to have $24,000 and I've got $300 in the bank. And so it's knowing your numbers, knowing what you can afford. If you know going into it, you're not going to be able to put $2,000 a month, then maybe you double that. I'm going to buy a truck in 24 months. I'm going to put $1,000 in the bank, and you work towards it. Or the company I'm with gives us a bonus every year. When I get that bonus, I'm going to apply that to my savings, and that's how I'm going to get there in this length of time. But it's just like trip planning. If I leave Lubbock and I say I'm going to Denver, I know without even looking that trip up where I'm going to buy fuel, where I'm going to stop at. And I've got a plan. But if I'm going somewhere I'm not familiar with or that I haven't gone to as much, then I'm going to do a little research and I'm going to figure out where I'm going to park, where I'm going to get diesel, when I think I get there. I amaze these brokers because I can usually tell them within an hour or two of when I'm going to arrive. I can call them about a load that delivers 3 days from now. And I can say, yeah, I'll be there at 10 o'clock in the morning on this day. And I'm usually there a couple hours before that. I overshoot it a little bit. But they're like, I don't see how you could know that. And it's being familiar with what you can do as a person. It's being familiar with weather and road conditions. It's just proper trip planning like we used to do in the old days when we had the atlases before GPSs and all of that. And now it's even easier because your GPS will tell you when you'll arrive. PU Patel says, good evening, Sir Todd. Well, good evening, PU. Thank you for being here with us. Oh, boy, we've got another super chat down here. Let's jump down here to it. It's my good friend and channel member, Robbie Ross, with the $20. He said, I made a sizable donation to the Red Cross for those in Cali. If you can donate, please do so. People have lost everything. Yeah, I would say on that, that's a good point. But do it, like you said, through a reputable place. There's going to be scams like there always is. And don't fall for the scams. Do the United Way, Red Cross, something like that, that you know the money's going to get there and it's going to get distributed to help people that need the help. And you do what you can. Help in whatever way you can. Kevin Patterson says, I'll probably just save some and go to Lone Mountain. A lot of people like Lone Mountain. I don't know enough about them to say yay or nay, but any truck from anywhere, if you've got the option of having a second set of eyes look at it, do that. Even if that second set of eyes is your wife, take your wife, let her look over the truck. Maybe she'll see something you missed. If you got a mechanic in the area that you trust, give him $100 or $200. Let him look over it. Maybe he'll see something you miss. I know Lone Mountain's real good about letting you bring in outside mechanics and things like that. Have somebody look that truck over with you in case you miss something. And but new or used, it doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to discourage you in any way. Just anytime you start any kind of business, and I don't care if we're opening a tamale stand on the corner or a cafe or a trucking business or a law firm or anything. Anytime you start a business, there's a certain amount of risk there. And the more research and prepared you can be for it, the better off you're going to be. And so even if you come to me with $1 million idea, I'm always going to tell you to be careful and look at all your options and things like that, because I just want to see everybody on here do well. RCE, hi, Todd. Good to watch your video. Glad you're doing all right. Happy New Year. Thank you, my friend. Glad to have you here again. TC says, no, we lost the Amarillo run. They had me on another one. Dedicated account that opened up in South Texas. Oh, man, I don't know if I'm just catching your videos at the wrong time or what I'm doing. I catch you a lot when you're going on your morning walks. And so I think those are some of your best videos too. For those that don't know, TC Boggs, not familiar with him or his channel, he lost a substantial amount of weight, and he's really focused on diet and exercise. And he is unrecognizable. And I mean that in a positive way. If he were to do a before and after picture, you would question if it was the same guy. When I met him, he was at least, I'm going to say probably 100 pounds heavier than what he is right now. And so if you're like most truck drivers like me, or if you struggle with your weight or with weight loss, he's definitely a good resource for diet and exercise and things like that. And nowadays, a lot of his videos, I don't know where he's walking, if it's at a park or at his house or what, but there's like a lot of trees and it's real scenic, and he'll kind of walk around and talk politics and things like that. And um, he's really knowledgeable. I enjoy his videos. That's the truth. Steve says the California AB 5 laws are going to slowly be adopted by other states, and already the feds are preparing to pass similar legislation. Guys like Jason will be pushed out of the lease to purchase. Yeah, that's why I like what I'm doing, because I'm not buying my truck from SRO Logistics or Scott. I'm buying it from another YouTuber, another individual through his LLC, and so I'm picking my own loads. I'm negotiating my own rates. I believe I'm safe from AB5, but I think there's a lot of people that may not be, and it'll be, that I'm sure that these trucking companies are coming up with contingency plans of what they're going to do. But I think you're right. I think eventually there is going to be a push to make it a lot harder to do a lease purchase. And I don't know if that's good or bad. And I'll tell you why. Because these people weren't held at gunpoint, forced to sign these contracts. These people had an opportunity to read the contract. They had an opportunity to decide if they thought it was something they could be profitable at. And I think it's a slippery slope when we start letting the government tell us what's a good deal and what's not a good deal. If Steve and I make a deal on this Coke Zero right here, if Steve agrees to sell me this Coke Zero for $5 a can, and I say, you know what, Steve, that's a great deal. I'd like to buy this Coke from you for $5 a can. I'll buy 100 cans right now. And Steve says, well, Todd, I got to order the 100 cans. I'm going to need you to sign a contract saying that you're going to buy these 100 cans of Coke Zero from me for $5 a can. If I think that's a good deal and Steve thinks that's a good deal, then we should be allowed to do that. If somebody else thinks that's a terrible deal, well, then don't sign the contract. Don't buy the Cokes for $5 a can. Same thing on these trucks. If somebody thinks that $5,400 a month for a T680 is a good deal, then I'm going to discourage it. But if he arrives at the decision, Todd doesn't know what he's talking about, that's a great deal, then I'm going to wish him the best. And a month from now, if he calls me and says, hey, Todd, I'm not making the money I thought I'd make. Do you have any advice? Yeah, I'm still going to give him advice and try to help him. And that's the way we should all be. I don't think we need the government doing things like that necessarily. But I mean, same thing with, and maybe I'm going to get in trouble, and a lot of you are going to disagree with me on this broker transparency thing. On the face, it sounds like a great idea. Yeah, let's find out how much profit they're getting. How long do you think it'll be after that passes before they flip that around? And they go, well, we need trucker transparency. How much are truckers making on that load? And is that a fair profit? I'll just let you know. That load I did from Amarillo to Roswell was over $5 a mile. It was almost $6 a mile. If we had trucker transparency, somebody might say, well, Todd don't need to make, over $5 a mile on a load. Todd needs to make $1.50 a mile. That's what the mega carriers pay, or $1.36 a mile. That's what the mega carriers pay. That's plenty. It's a slippery slope when we start telling businesses how much profit they can make. And I don't know that I'm for broker transparency. The jury in my mind is still out on that one. Says every company is so cutthroat right now. Some are willing to run an account for a loss for a while to maintain share. It sucks. Yes, sir, I agree with you. And man, this video is going to get me in trouble. But when we bring foreign truckers in and don't make them comply with the same regulations that we do, it creates an unlevel playing field. And I'm not even talking about the Russians at this point. When we allow Mexican trucks to come over here and run, and their trucks don't have to be up to the standards ours do, and they don't have to have the permits and the overhead that we have, it's hard to compete with them. They can pull loads for probably 50 cents or $1 a mile less than we can. So I agree with you completely there. But then if we bring Russians in and Indians in, and their hygiene is such that they're able to save a ton of money, they don't shower, they don't bathe, they put 3 or 4 guys in a truck and run it constantly. It's hard to compete with them in the short term. Now, eventually, what's going to end up happening is these shippers are going to say, hey, we've got a hygiene policy. You got to be clean when you come in here. You got to wear closed-toed shoes. You got to have a sleeved shirt. I don't know if you can see it. But, yeah, they're going to come up with stuff like that. But we all need to be on an equal playing field. But that's, like we was talking about truck payments a minute ago. I can run a load a little cheaper than some guys can because my truck payment's a little less. A guy that has a paid-off truck theoretically could run a truck cheaper than I could, but he better be putting that money back for maintenance because he's typically, if he's got a paid-off truck, he's in a higher mileage truck that it's going to need more maintenance. You're going to be fixing something pretty regularly. All right, let's see. Hey, here's somebody I hadn't seen in a while. Randy's Road Life is here. Randy, did I miss a call from you the other day? I've got this iPhone and I don't know how to work it. I'm still learning. And I don't know if I butt dialed you or if you called me and I missed a call from you. So as a general rule, I probably need to say this. If you guys call me and I don't answer within a couple of hours, first of all, leave me a voicemail because if I'm in a no signal area and you don't leave a voicemail, I don't know you called. And secondly, if I don't get back to you within a few hours, call me again and remind me because sometimes I'll see a missed call and I'll think, oh, yeah, I really need to call that person. I'll do it as soon as I finish doing this, and then I'll get busy and forget. And so, if I did forget to call you back or if it wasn't a button dial, let me know, Randy, and I'll call you as soon as I can. Whippy McPope, man with a million excuses. I love that name, by the way. One more week of Joe Biden. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Everybody hates when I do this, but I'm going to circle back around because we've been going about an hour and 15 minutes and give him kind of the quick view of what he missed. So Randy says, give me an update, please. I missed a lot. So, yeah, I picked up a terrible load in Amarillo that was going to Roswell. Or terrible for me. It's not the worst. I'm sure some of you have experienced worse loads. But I got it down there. It ended up being late in the evening. I went to bed sick, took some NyQuil, went to bed. Was expecting to wake up the next morning and look for a load. And I woke up about 3 a.m. to use the bathroom. There was snow everywhere. So I went back to bed, got up the next morning, and 285 North out of Roswell had been closed. And they were talking about closing some other of the roads. And some of the warehouses where I could have picked up loads were starting to close because of the storms that were projected to come. It ended up not being as bad as they expected. But anyway, I made the decision to drive 3 hours to Lubbock and recuperate at home. So I gave up on looking for a load and went home to recuperate at home. I'm still in SRO Logistics. Still happy as I can be there. There's no bad blood between me and Scott or nothing like that. I'm just sick as a dog. That's why there hadn't been this onslaught of videos that I thought we'd have in January. Today's the first day I really felt I could sit down and talk and do a video. P.U. Patel, I think we're all ready for Inauguration Day. Absolutely. I'm ready for just a break from campaigning. It seems like as soon as an election's over, we're already starting to campaign for the next one. And they used to start like a year before. Now it just seems they're in a constant campaigning cycle. And I go through spells where I love to debate politics and talk about it. And I'll watch guys like T.C. Boggs and used to Rush Limbaugh when he was around. I listened to Will Cow on satellite radio sometimes, and but after a while, I get my fill of it and I step away from it for a while. But yeah, there's just I think I'm ready for it too. This last 4 years has been long. It definitely been long. TC says that's a park near his house. I enjoy running my yap while looking at the ducks and geese. Yeah, we've got a park like that here in Lubbock that we used to go to a lot. It got to where the ducks would chase you because people would, and you can't kick them or do nothing like that to them. But a lot of people take bread. There's a restaurant here in Lubbock called Orlando's that'll give you free breadcrumbs to feed the birds, and we'd go get some breadcrumbs and throw them at the birds and things like that. Kind of walk the park. But yeah, if they'll get aggressive when you run out of bread. You kind of got to strategically be near your car when you run out of bread. Also, we go get animal crackers and carrots and go feed the prairie dogs. That's pretty fun too. Randy's Road Life, for many of these companies, lease purchase pays their overhead, and without it, they'll likely go out of business. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. However, one of the arguments I've heard is, well, you're just making the payments on that company's truck payment. If you're a company driver, you're making the payments on that company's truck too. You're just not getting any of the tax benefits. I've said this in a lot of videos. I think most lease purchases are designed for you to fail. Is there some good ones out there? I'm sure there is. There's nothing that's all good or all bad. There's some that are good, but they're definitely designed for the company to win, all of them. And why do I say that? Well, because that's how contracts in general work. If I make a contract between me and Randy, or me and TC Boggs, either one of them, I'm going to design that contract in a way that gives me the upper hand. Same with them. If they write a contract, if TC says, I'm going to sell Todd my house, he's going to write that contract in a way that is most beneficial for him selling that house. He's not going to write that contract in a way that puts him at a disadvantage. And same with Randy. And so you just have to know that going in. That now, one of the reasons they do it that nobody mentions is retention. And they've got statistics that show drivers that are in a lease purchase typically stay with companies longer because they're trying to pay that truck off. But we all know that there's predatory companies out there that you're never going to pay the truck off. They're going to keep you in the truck till you get near the end of the lease, and then they're going to starve you out. And so you just have to realize that most of the time these companies have their best interest in mind and not your best interest. And if you know that going into it and you're willing to make the sacrifice, it can be a really good deal. I did really well at Swift. I did very well at Dart. And you notice there's nobody from those companies coming on here saying I didn't do well at those places. But I knew at both of those companies that the truck wasn't mine until I made the final payment, meaning the balloon payment. Even if you complete the term, it's not your truck until you pay the balloon payment. And so I kept that in mind as far as modifications and things like that. I wasn't going to modify a truck until it was mine. And I say that I did one. My very first truck with Dart, I did put an APU on it. And then that truck went kaput, and I transferred that APU to my second truck with Dart. And but yeah, you just have to know that going in. But the author of the contract always benefits the most from the contract. TC Boggs says, yes, sir, Randy, I'd like to see horrible companies like Super Ego get pushed out the industry. Yeah, and I think they will. But there's a lot of shady stuff going on right now. I saw a video from Bonehead Truckers, Ike Stevens, and he was basically saying that Super Ego had contacted him and was wanting to pay him to make positive videos about their company. not necessarily work for them, but just go to their terminal and try to spin them in a positive light. And I don't think anybody could spin Super Ego into a positive light right now. Not even the great Ike Stevens. TC Boggs, broker transparency got pushed out to 2026 to allow more light to adapt to new software that's being installed. Yeah. That is true. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't even thinking about that. So yeah, that's a can they've kicked down the road that we'll tackle in 2026, hopefully, if they don't kick it down the road again. The Right Way to Truck. Hey there, Todd. Hey, Right Way to Truck. I'm glad you made it in here tonight. TC Boggs, yeah, but there's more to it than that. It's about keeping the brokers honest and to cut back on scamming. Yeah, but I'll give you an example, and maybe I'm being paranoid, but it's in. Let me go back to car sales for a minute. In car sales, when I first started selling cars, they paid you off the gross, what they called the gross profit. And so let's say they sold a car and they made $2,000 on it, and your cut was 20%. You got a $400 commission. Well, what they didn't tell you, and you found out later, was they had a pack on there. And so it wasn't gross like what you and I call gross. It was adjusted gross. So they would say, well, yeah, we made $2,000, but we put $1,000 or $1,500 pack on there. So we only made $500 on the car. So your commission is $100. But we have what we call a mini, so we'll give you $150. And so same thing they could do here. The broker could say, yeah, we said we got the load for this, but we had this much in it. So our actual profit on the load is this. You see what I'm saying? They could pack overhead in there. There's lots of ways to finagle numbers. And I mean, our good friends are all right, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You guys got me. Our good buddies that were recently at Hirschbach are a fine example of that. You know, for several months they came on making videos. Oh, we're making this. We never hit the base pay, the guarantee. We're doing so great over here, and then all of a sudden is we can't make it there without that guarantee. And same thing here. You can inflate and adjust numbers, and the only way to do that is they would have to actually show you the shipper's invoices, and even then, there could still be some coercion between them and the shipping invoices. I'm maybe it's the capitalist in me. I'm just nervous when we start trying to restrict profits on anybody, even shady people like them. And also, some of the brokers I deal with are in Canada and other countries. Will our laws affect them? Will they have the same transparency restrictions? I'm sure they would, but you just never know. I guarantee you right now, somebody's looking for a loophole to get around it. And this 2026 deadline just gives them more time to do that. TC Boggs, for example, you'll be able to see how many claims are against a particular broker's bond for whatever reason. They skip by with inadequate insurance and put carriers at risk. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, TC. And all of our loads that we before we book them here, we have to run a credit check on them. And if they don't pass that credit check, we're not allowed to book them. And so it says what their credit limit is. But yeah, you're right. It would be great if we could go in there and see how many times they've had claims against their bond for non-payment, things like that. So I think I agree with you about 75% on this. I just, like I say, the capitalist in me is a little bit nervous about the profit part of it, but definitely how shady they are. It'd be great to know that. Racing Ray, iPhones are hard on us old folks. Yeah, for years my grandkids, get an iPhone, get an iPhone. And it's better, and everybody keeps saying that. So the incentives were so good on them. I said, all right, I'm going to try an iPhone. And I got an iPhone 15 Pro Max, 1 terabyte when it first came out. And I called my grandkids. I'm like, how do you do this? How do you do that? They just laugh at you. And a lot of the stuff I did on my Android, I couldn't do on the iPhones. Now, I'm a beta tester for iPhone now. And so I can do a lot of those things now. And, but in the beginning, it was so frustrating. Like, for a long time, you couldn't schedule a text message. And now I can only do it on some people. But I used to schedule text messages all the time. If I knew I needed to text somebody the next morning, I'd set a text message to text somebody at 8 o'clock in the morning. It'd automatically send it on my Android. Now I can do it on my iPhone. If they've got an iPhone and it's a certain software on their iPhone and all that, it's just so dang complicated. But I'm getting the hang of it. But if I could switch back to an Android, I'd probably get the new Google Pixel. I had a Google Pixel 6 Pro that I loved, and I'd like to get the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, or maybe even their Fold. Probably the 9 Pro XL, though. Ramon, channel member, what's up, Todd? Hey, man, I'm glad to see you here. Glad you could make it in. How's your night going? Racing Ray, not sure I can take another week of Biden. Here's what I'll say about Mr. Biden. I felt sorry for him in the beginning with his decline in middle and all of that. And you could tell he's aged a lot. And so I was going to take it easy on the guy. But then when he looks like he's purposefully trying to destroy the country, purposefully trying to do bad things to the country, it's hard for me to cut him any slack. And, he knows that the border wall is going up as soon as Trump gets in there, whether he likes it or not. Selling pieces of the border wall doesn't do anything. All we're going to do is sell them for less than what we paid for them, and then we're going to buy them as soon as Trump gets back in office. He's just increasing our debt. And so, I mean, at some point you just got to say, all right, I lost. And I'm not going to help the next guy, but I'm not going to make it worse on him either. Alaska Hall. What did I miss? You missed a lot, man. We've been going almost 90 minutes. I was talking about how I ended up at home. Some people took the title of my video to mean that I had left SRO Logistics. I have not. I'm still here, happy as can be, but I'm at home. I've been as sick as I can remember in recent memory, and I'm still kind of congested. But I'm going to try to leave out tomorrow. I'm going to get up early in the morning and hit the load boards and see what I can find. It looks like most of the snow that was supposed to land has landed. It wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be, and I feel pretty confident I can get something tomorrow that'll work for me. And I hope to do a live show Tuesday night and kind of tell y'all where everything stands. Robbie Ross, channel member, it's terrible what Sleepy Joe has been doing to the leases to make it difficult for Trump, being so spiteful. Yeah, and that was channel member Robbie Ross. What I would add to that is, all through the campaign they were saying, after the election, Trump, are you going to accept the results? Trump, are you going to accept these results? But now that the election's over, it's like they don't accept the results. They're mad that they didn't win, so they're going to try to make it harder for him. And it makes me wonder, did they ever play Little League as a kid? And you remember in Little League after the game, whether you won or lost at the end of the game, you had to go over and shake the hands of the other team and tell them good game, even if it was a blowout. And same thing here. It's like they can't shake the hand of the opposition and wish them good luck. And so now here's something you probably didn't expect me to say. Obama might be the exception to the rule. I don't know if y'all saw at Jimmy Carter's funeral, him and Trump were talking pretty extensively, and I saw a deal where they had some lip readers read it out, and Trump was asking to meet with him privately to discuss some things with him. And so, I mean, I'm not the biggest Obama fan in the world, but from that you glean that Obama might be willing to help in some capacity. I can't imagine there's a lot of areas that Trump and Obama agree on anything, but just the fact that he was willing to sit beside Trump and be civil to him and laugh with him, while so many of the others were not saying hi to him, even some Republicans that I like, even George W. Bush didn't say hi to him, kind of gave him an evil look. So, who knows what's going on, but I thought that at the funeral, Obama was the most mature acting person there regarding all of that. And my good friend Chris Bollinger is here. Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming in. Life on 18 Wheels, talking to Robbie Ross. Joe acting like a hater. He does care about this country. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He does care about this country. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I don't think that you purposefully try to sabotage the country if you love the country. I don't think you purposefully try to. When the election was a blowout like it was, and people clearly said we want the border crisis dealt with, I don't think you, in your last few days in office, try to make it easier for the border crossings to increase. I don't think when you realize you lost an election, you purposefully let hundreds and hundreds of violent criminals out of prison via pardons. Now, was he within his rights to do it? Yeah. But did his actions make the United States a safer place? Absolutely not. And I just don't think that's the actions you take when you love this country. Randy said, "Yeah, you missed my call." All right, man. I'll work on getting you called back. How late are you going to be up tonight? It might be in the morning. When I leave here, I got to go start up my truck so that batteries will be charged and it'll crank in the morning when I get over there. Wimpy McPote. I want to laugh every time I see that. They'll wait until you have a few payments left and then they'll starve you out. Yeah, that's if I did one of those deals in the good times when they were running you, I'd be putting some money back so that when they tried to starve me out, I could make the payments and keep the truck. But they know that life's going to happen, breakdowns are going to happen, and you're going to get to the end and be on your last few dollars, and they're counting on that so they don't have to give you the truck. I'll tell you another one before I read his next comment. Some of these companies, for their balloon payment, they don't even put an amount in the contract. They put market value, meaning the truck is worth whatever they say it is. Sorry. That means that the truck's worth whatever they say it is at the end of your lease. That would definitely be the worst. That would definitely be the worst of leases to get into, because you can't prepare for the balloon payment if you don't know what it's going to be. Life on 18 says FMCSA is a client of Carrier 411. That make it a conflict of interest. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that. Ted says, "Sorry I'm late. Hope you're getting better, sir." Thank you. Yeah, you can kind of hear my voice cutting in and out a little bit, but I think I'm getting better overall. Just drinking lots of liquids while I talk to y'all. But I appreciate it, Ted. The right way to truck. I'm not for broker transparency. Well, me and TC Boggs were kind of lightly debating it a minute ago, and I agree with about 75 or 80% of what he's saying. The capitalist in me is not big on regulating profits on any company, but he did make some good points about being able to look up how many hits they've had on their bond and things like that. So somewhere in the middle of what he thinks and what I think is what I think would be the perfect solution, because he's a really smart guy, and I'll guarantee you he's put more research into it than I have. But yeah, just total transparency where they have to show you everything. I don't know that I'm for that, but somewhere in the middle with some of the stuff he was talking about, I could definitely see that. Adam says Super Ego keeps calling me, and so does Nova Lines. Guy I'm friends with from my days at Trans Am left there with 34-cent check, went to Nova, and it went downhill quick. Yeah, I even to this day when I see a Super Ego at a truck stop pulling up to get fuel or something, that I can't help it. A thought always goes through my head. Did nobody tell them? Did they not know? Why would anybody go there? And a lot of times it's a foreigner, a Russian or an Indian in the truck, and it could be a case of they didn't know, but it's they're being taken advantage of. They're living on pennies, and it's something's got to be done. It's a well known fact, not even a secret, that they edit the logs, and I got to believe that FMCSA and all of them are probably doing a private investigation and will be coming after them for that before too much longer. The voters spoke, and don't feel sleepy has done a good job. It's terrible exit strategy, 18 wheels. That came from channel member Robbie Ross. Yeah, it's not what I would have done. It's because Biden right now it's all about building legacy. And there's a chance he could have been remembered for some things. The economy, they're saying, is doing a little better. He might could have gone out on that, but when he does things that are clear that he's trying to sabotage the country, that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to think, oh, here's a crazy old man that stutters and doesn't know what he's saying. That could be me also, by the way, crazy old man that stutters. But yeah, you got to be thinking, what's he thinking? Why would he do this? And Life on 18 says to Robbie, exactly. And to add insult to injury, he done handed 60,000 more work permits to foreigners. Yeah. Yeah. And well, I'll leave that there for now. And channel member Ramon says he says, get better, be driving soon. To all a good night. All right, man. Try to catch the rest of it on the replay if you can, but it was good to see you again, and I'll try to come back Tuesday, depending on how the loads go. Get you some cough drops, drink some herbal tea, and some good sleep. So the cough drops, we've got all kinds in there. We've got Ricola, we've got the Halls ones. I'm taking Mucinex. I'm on a lot of stuff. Herbal tea I have not done yet, and the good sleep is impossible because I use a CPAP machine, and when you're congested, it tries to suffocate you. So I end up having to sleep without the CPAP machine, and it's a miserable night. I wake up with a bloody mouth, and it's just terrible. And so, but last night I was able to sleep a little over 7 hours with my CPAP. So I'm hoping tonight to get a decent night's sleep. And Life on 18 said he meant doesn't. And Ted says, get you a good old hot toddy and you will get well fast. Yep, I had one of those too. It had Crown and honey and lemon juice, and it did help a lot. All right, we got to jump down here. We got another deal. Robbie Ross, channel member for 14 months. He says, wow, 14 months. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Yeah, please do. Please go back, make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up and share this video. All those things really help me a lot, and I appreciate it. And James says, that's not James. I didn't recognize the profile picture. James Stewart says, feel better, sir. Enjoy your stream. Thank you, sir. Jason Pepper, super ego, not all that long ago. He had to put $5,000 down on a truck and was like the third owner that year. Should have been a clue. Yeah, that's another thing. These companies that do this, there is no way I would put $5,000 down on a truck that I couldn't take to another company. You know, Prime has a deal similar to that if you want to buy a truck for them, but I think you can take theirs to another company. And but yeah, because these trucking companies, they don't have to make you successful at all. They can put you in the truck, starve you for 2 or 3 weeks, get you out of it, put somebody else in it, get another $5,000, and they can pay for the truck just that way. And so there's I would only do that, and there's dealerships that you could put $5,000 down and get a truck that you could move to another company. So I'm shocked every time I see a Super Ego truck that anybody would fall for it. TC Boggs, stupid autocorrect. Jason repped Super Ego. Yeah, he did, and he took his gang of merry men over there with him. From what I understand, they went there and ordered a few places. And I don't know, because I wasn't following the action back then. That's pre-Swift, and I don't know what they were doing. But I don't know if they said, all right, here's an opportunity to get a lot of referral bonuses. If it was just that they didn't do their research and they didn't know it was a bad company, or why they did it. But man, I can tell you this: I won't say that I would never work for Super Ego, but I would have to be super, super, super desperate. I'd have to have something on my record that was so bad I didn't feel like I could get a job anywhere else. They would be at the very bottom of my list. And just stoke it and get Fisherman's Friends drop. They taste bad, but will clean the nose and throat. I've never heard of those. Are they at Walmart, or where would I get them? Hang on real quick. Brokeback's been stuck in Arkansas hotel for over a week. Yeah, I've been saying I think they should rename their trucking company, because they're always in a hotel. Call it Broke Down Mountain Trucking. Broke Down Mountain Trucking. I announced in this video where I think they're working. I believe they're working at EOS. EOS is based in Arkansas, and there was a picture Tim put up, and if you look in the top left corner of that picture, you can see part of EOS's logo. And so I believe that they are at EOS. I'm sure they'll announce soon, because they're going to be doing referrals, but that's where I believe they are. Gary Cook, some of those Super Ego trucks are basics, nothing fancy, no APUs, plain trucks. Yeah, every single one I've seen has been a plain Jane white truck, as basic and simple as you can get. And there's nothing wrong with that if it's cheap. My truck's pretty basic, but I got it really cheap. All right, he says CVS and Amazon. I'm going to write down the name of that stuff and go look for it. I'm scrolling up to find it real quick. Fisherman Friends. Okay. I'm going to go look for it when we finish. Channel member Robbie Ross. My lease purchase comes to term later this summer. I don't expect to be starved. Yeah. And this is, I'm dating myself a little bit because it's been a few years since I worked at DART, but it was common to go into the driver's lounge of a DART terminal and find somebody that had paid off multiple trucks at DART. So I don't doubt that at all. I believe that Robbie Ross will be able to complete his lease. DART was pretty good about that. Now there's a lot of obstacles that can get in your way. Conflicts with dispatchers, conflicts with the shop is what got me. But yeah, I would say your odds are as good at anywhere paying your truck off at DART. A lot of people do it. Amazon, yeah, that's where I'll look is on Amazon because we do a lot of Amazon ourselves. Just get it delivered to the house. I hate going to Walmart, standing in a line, and the rude people. Ted Van Buskirk says EOS sucks. I was there one time. Yeah, you mark my words though. I'm pretty sure that's where they're working, and that's where their deal is that's the game they're running. They have to go to a company that has a bad reputation, and they have to go, oh, it's not bad. Come here with us. We'll show you how to do it. We're making great money here, and you can too. So it's a great company for them to get lots of referrals if that's what their game plan is. But I would argue they could make just as much money going to a company and driving the truck and putting out truthful videos and getting referrals that way. And I don't think you've got to stay out 6 or 8 weeks at a time either. Somebody said, "Well, Todd, you do that." No, I don't. I was trying to think the other day. We were sitting down trying to figure it out. I don't think I've done that in the last 20 years. When I first started at Swift, I stayed out a couple of times, 6 or 8 weeks. But most of the places, the longest I've stayed out that I can remember is like 3 weeks. And I thought that was a long time. I usually situate myself in a way to where I get to at least pass through the house. Just stoking. They have flavors, but get the original as the cough drops are the best. Okay, I'll do that. And I'm okay with them tasting awful if they make me feel better. Hopefully the economy improves soon so some of this weight is off our shoulders. Yeah, it's been tough, and I would describe my current situation as I'm treading water. I'm making enough to survive. I'm definitely doing better than I was at AT&T when I couldn't drive, when I was prohibited from driving. But now that I'm back, and the rates seem to be going up. I mentioned the load I did recently that was a little over $5 a mile. I've had a couple that was over $4. I've had a lot that were in the 280, 290 range. And so they're getting better, but I do have to dig for them. They don't just fall in my lap. I have to dig for them. I've got about 4 brokers that constantly call me with stuff they got. And it really is true what they say that the best loads are the ones that never make it to the load board, that you get called even before they get posted. Ted said they are out of Little Rock, Arkansas. Yes, EOS is out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And Tim and Coach mentioned that they were in Arkansas. And like I said, Tim put up a picture that if you look in the top left corner of the picture, you can see part of the EOS logo. And so I'm super confident that that's where they're working. Driving the truck costs money. Recruiting costs zero. Well, true, but if you're a good manager of time, you can do both. Uh, I was running 2,800, 3,000 miles a week at Swift, and I was still putting out videos and all of that. And they can do the same thing, especially teaming. They can run 600 miles a piece and spend a couple hours a day shooting videos and still both get plenty of sleep. But it's maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe they don't think they've got what it takes to drive the truck. Uh, Maybe it's a fear of failure, and they know they can be successful recruiting. And so I don't know. I haven't had enough long, detailed conversations with. I've never had any communication with Tim. Don't know him at all directly. I think we've spoke through Coach a couple of times. I don't. I haven't text or spoke with Coach in a long time. So several months. So I don't know what their motivations are or why they do what they do. But I mean, my advice would be it doesn't have to be one or the other. Drive the truck and make real, true videos about driving the truck. And you won't have to say, call my recruiter. People will ask you, hey, how do I get on over there? How can I do what you do? And if it's terrible, people will still call you. Oh, I don't think it's that bad. I want to see for myself. But at least you'll be able to sleep at night. People won't be mad at you thinking you're scamming. But at this point, I don't think you can do anything. I think you're going to have to probably take a couple of years and just not recruit at all. Drive the truck and say, hey, today we went here. Today we went here. And then after a couple of years, say, hey, I've been here 2 years. This is a great company, and here's why I think you should come here. But right now, it's the hardest thing to get on YouTube is credibility, and the hardest thing to get back on YouTube is credibility. If people think you'll say or do anything, then they're not going to believe you. Wimpy says, have a good night. Now, yeah, that's an inside joke. And I got misrepresented in that too. Somebody sent me a clip. I'm going to start saying that at the end of all my videos because somebody told Narc that that I was upset that he was making fun of me for saying y'all have a good night. And I was explaining that that's just something we say here in the South. And so I was like, if he thinks it's funny, that's fine. But somebody told Narc I was mad about it. And his response was basically, well, Todd needs to be able to take a joke and not take himself so seriously. Or that's what I got out of it. And I did. I had literally said the exact opposite of what that guy told Narc. Some of Narc's stuff I think is really funny and I enjoy watching it. Some of it I think goes too far. But I'm sure that the same could be said about me. Some of the stuff I say is real funny. Some of the stuff I say goes too far. So, you can get carried away behind this camera and take it a little further than you meant to. But no, I laugh at myself on here. You guys have heard me make fun of myself. If you can't laugh at yourself, you shouldn't be laughing at anybody else. And so I'm fine with it. Yeah, y'all have a good night. TC laughing at that. Let's see here. Ben Stoken, been a minute since watching. Where are you at now? So that's a good question. I'm still at SRO Logistics. I was at SRO Logistics up until the day of my stroke on March 14th. And then the second I could come back, I came back. I had to go to a company for about 3 or 4 weeks because my truck burnt down with Scott the day before I was supposed to go get it. I got accused of arson by some of the YouTube world, but I was in a different state. I hadn't seen the truck in over 6 months. There was no arson. And so I went to this terrible company in St. Louis. I worked there about 3 weeks. Had a chance to buy a truck from another YouTuber. YouTuber, and I bought that truck and leased it on to Scott, which is where I wanted to be all the time. You go back and watch my videos. That was the goal all along, was to go back to SRO Logistics. I get treated well here. I make decent money here. Not the most I've ever made, but decent. And it's pretty stress-free, so I enjoy it. He and I work well together. No problems, no drama. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at and what I'm doing. EOS stands for Everyone Starves. Well, maybe. I think what we're going to find out is if you buy matching cowboy hats and matching shirts, and if you develop a dance, and if you stay out 2 to 3 months at a time, you can make money there. But we'll see. Scotty, with 2 jobs, the best company to drive for is the one that doesn't recruit. I would generally agree with that. If what you're going to find, though, is that's going to be your smaller companies. And I do like working for smaller companies. I work for a company now that's only got 7 trucks. And the problem is, as your company grows, at some point you're going to have to recruit, because you get up to 1,500, 2,000 drivers, you're going to have some attrition no matter what. There's going to be people that have family problems that have to quit. There's going to be people that have health problems that have to quit. And so what you would hope, what all trucking companies would hope, is that word of mouth would get them drivers, that they're treating their drivers so good that you know, they don't have to recruit. People are calling in, hey, I talked to one of your drivers in the fuel island. I want to work for you. And that's largely what SRO Logistics has done. They're going strictly by word of mouth now. He's not running any advertisements, things like that. He's just going by word of mouth. People are saying it's a great place to work, and people are calling to find out about it. But, you know, when he gets 1,500 trucks, that may change. He may have to have a recruiter to take all those calls. He may have to, put an ad in a truck magazine or on a website or something like that. But, you know, if your turnover rate at your company is over 100%, and I think the national average is like 120 right now, then that should tell you something's wrong with your business model. It's not all health problems and family emergencies and things like that. And you got to see what it is. I think some of it's generational. These young kids now, they don't want to be away from their friends and drive a truck. They want to be at home and going to the club. And, you know, so I think that in trucking's adapting. There's more regional stuff now. There's more dedicated stuff now. There's enough stuff out there now that you can do what you want to do. It's just finding it. And I'm geographically challenged. Where I live, it's tough to find anything. Just Stoken says, when the weather is like it was this week, what strategies do you use to stay safe but make money you need for the week? So that's a great question. That's probably even a better video I should make. So twofold. One, there was, and actually more than twofold, I was doing a lot of research weather-wise, seeing where was good places to run, where not to run. Since I pick my own loads, I can kind of dictate that. I had enough food on the truck and supplies on the truck to survive a week, so I could get snowed in somewhere for a week and survive just fine. As far as financially, man, it's paying your bills as soon as you can. And I realize it's tough right now. Like TC was talking about a minute ago, we all have this weight on our shoulders, but paying your bills as soon as they come in and not having to do payment arrangements is a big help. For me, financially is not so much. I'm not eating in the truck stops. I've got sandwiches and canned goods and a couple of cases of water on the truck, things like that. So it's just being prepared, having warm clothes, extra blankets. all of those things come in. And this is why I think it's so important y'all get a CB if you don't have one, because it can be a lifesaver in communications. You guys don't realize it, but I'm actually probably safer than most of you are because so many of you call me and check on me. And that helps a lot too. The odds of me dying in my truck and being there 2 or 3 days before somebody realized it is really unlikely. I get spotted a lot of places I go, things like that. My uncle calls me usually once a day or texts me once a day to check on me. Wife calls me 2 or 3 times a day. We talk. Several of you call me several times a week, and all of those things keep me safer out here. But for those that don't have that ability, that are being dispatched, just, I would say, download AccuWeather app or get the Weather Channel. I've got the Weather Channel and Hulu Live TV, and I watch all of that. And if a certain part of the country's bad, if I know the Southeast is getting hammered and it's supposed to be bad the rest of the week, I'm not taking a load to the Southeast. I'll do short stuff around Texas or whatever. And you got to do the same thing. You've got to do what puts you in the safest place. All right, the hat's got to come off, and y'all are going to see my bald head. It's getting warm in here again. I'm cold and warm at the same time. We've caught up on the comments, so I'll give the speech I give that everybody loves so much. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video on your social media platforms. Doing that lets YouTube know that you like what we're doing and encourages them to share these videos with other people so that we can get new viewers and new subscribers. All righty, we got another comment. Yeah, if only it was real. I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in South Lubbock. It's a pretty nice place, but it's not this nice. This is a background, a free background that StreamYard gives you. I did have one at Texas Stadium, and I had it up for a while. I lost some of my backgrounds, and I just hadn't had time to go put them back in there. Gary Cook, I'm not afraid to shut my truck down if the weather is bad. I'm not wrecking my truck if the brokers don't like it. Don't like that tough. Yeah, you would be shocked. All of the brokers I've dealt with are super easygoing. Even when I was looking for loads out of Roswell, I was like, yeah, one of them was in Plainview, I remember. And he's like, how long do you think it'll take you to get there? And I said, well, on a normal day, about this long. I said, with the weather like it is, it may take an hour or 2 longer. He's like, no problem. Just keep me updated. If we need to reschedule it, even for tomorrow, we can. And it's called setting expectations. That was a term they used at AT&T. You just set expectations. And even if a load, like there's some of them on there that it'll say 800 miles by tomorrow. Well, I know I can't log 800 miles by tomorrow. So I'll tell them, hey, I'd love to do this load, but I can't do 800 miles by tomorrow. Can you get the delivery rescheduled? Sometimes they're like, yeah, it's no problem. You can deliver it on Friday. And some of them, they're like, no, it's pretty hard on that one, but I've got another one. Let me see if I can get it for you. It's just communication, setting those expectations and telling them up front what you can do, what you can't do, possible problems you might foresee. And that's what I was doing about the weather. But yeah, if it's and Scott backs me 100%. If I call him and I say, hey, Scott, I decided to park the truck and the broker don't like it, he's not going to pull up the Weather Channel and be like, well, Todd, it don't look that bad. I think you should go. He's going to be like, yeah, do what you think's best. Be safe out there. Are you in a safe spot? You got food? You got water? That kind of deal. That's the kind of people you got to surround yourself with. There's no shame in parking that truck if the weather's bad. And typical rule, if I got to have chains, I need to park. So I carry my tire socks under the truck, under the bed. I'm not going to put them on. I'm going to park. If it needs chains, I need to park. If it's too bad to walk on, it's too bad to drive on. Now, can I do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can drive on it. The problem's not me. The problem is other cars that can't do it that'll slide into me. I know that I've got to go slow. I know the weight of my load, how to handle my truck. But the problem is the other people in their car or pulling their camper that don't know that'll slide into me. And like that trip from Roswell to Lubbock, there's a lot of 2-lane roads. I was pretty nervous on that trip, not because I couldn't stay on the road, but if somebody loses it going the other way, I'm in a head-on collision situation. And so I'm more likely to pull over on a 2-lane road and park at a truck stop or something than I am on a 4-lane, just because I worry about other people sliding into me. Now, on that load, once I got over that hill I was telling you all about, the roads dried up and everything was fine. But we were supposed to get a bad one in Lubbock that night, and it didn't materialize. So, but I was so sick by the time I got to Lubbock that I just wanted to go home and lay down. Jordan B says, my company has 5 trucks. I don't make $1 million there, but I'm stress-free and I'm left alone. Yeah, and to me, that's worth $1 million right there. That's better than a high-paying job. If it's stress-free and they leave you alone, let you do your thing, treat you like an adult, that's better than making a couple $100 a week more and being miserable. I agree with you there, Jordan. Here's a question I get a lot. I've been avoiding it, but I'll go ahead and answer it in general terms anyway. What load boards do you use, or which broker app do you like? So the number one I use, that's probably not a correct sentence. The number one app I use is the DAT board, DAT, and their app's called DAT1. I also use RTS Pro. I also use Carrier 360 with JB Hunt. I also use CH Robinson. I also use TQL, Coyote. I also use Schneider, Freight Power. I also use Convoy. I also use Uber Freight. I also use Warner Bridge and Echo and IFT. Now, some of them I use more than others. Predominantly, I start off on DAT because it'll have some of those others incorporated into it. And then if I don't see what I'm looking for or something that gets me excited, then I go look at the others. And so usually within about 15 to 30 minutes, I can call one of the brokers and get something negotiated out. But then I've got multiple guys that call me, brokers I've worked with in the past, especially if they've got something in the Lubbock area. They'll call me and say, hey, are you in Lubbock? We got one. And are you in Dallas? We got one. And I've done a lot of their stuff lately. And we're going to go around and I got a video I need to do as soon as the weather gets a little better and I'm not sick. I'm going to make a video and show the outside of my truck. And then I'll make a video talking about orientation and SRO logistics. And then after that, I'll start talking about some of the loads I ran and how I've done over here and things like that. Again, I see absolutely no benefit to talking money with y'all, but I'll be happy to tell y'all where I ran and what I did and how it went and things like that. Steve Given, what is the average mileage rate on the load board for dry van? So that is a super tough question to answer because it depends on where you're at and where you're wanting to go. So let's take Lubbock, for example. Lubbock to Dallas is going to pay different than Lubbock to Albuquerque or Lubbock to Oklahoma City or Lubbock to San Antonio. And consequently, San Antonio to Lubbock is going to pay different than Lubbock to San Antonio. So that's why knowing your freight lanes and knowing where to go and not to go. For example, Lubbock to Albuquerque is going to pay better than Lubbock to Dallas. However, when I get to Albuquerque, I'm going to have a lot harder time finding a load than I am in Dallas. And so you have to make a judgment call. Do I make more? Is it better for me to go to Albuquerque or is it better for me to go to Dallas where I know I can get a good load out of Dallas? Same thing, Florida. I mentioned earlier in the show I was looking at going to Florida. I can make a killing going to Florida. But coming out of Florida, I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to take a bath. So the question becomes, can I make enough going to Florida that I can afford to come out of Florida? And so oftentimes what I'll do before I book that Florida load, I'll pretend like I took it and see what I could get coming out of Florida, or how far I'm going to have to deadhead to get my next load once I leave Florida. And so it's a little bit of a strategy game, and that's actually the part I enjoy more than the driving. I enjoy the negotiations. I enjoy the driving. Now, in that first example I gave you about Albuquerque and Dallas, that might be some of my negotiating power when I call that Albuquerque load. I may say, hey, I'd like to do this load, but man, I'm going to have a heck of a time getting out of there. Can you help me out on the rate? And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But it doesn't hurt to ask. And TC Boggs says, have a good night, Todd. Take care, rest of you. Thanks, TC. Have a great night, man. Ted says, got to go to sleep. Have to get up at 2 a.m. for work. I'll watch the replay. Get well. Take care. All right. It sounds like we're starting to dwindle down here. I'll give you guys a few more seconds if y'all got something else you want to cover. If not, I'm going to hop off here. I got to do some laundry and get ready to go to work tomorrow and go crank the truck. We did good. We went 2 hours and 12 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit the road. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you Tuesday night, hopefully. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.